Hey there, it's Darlene. Welcome to my channel and my creative life. I am working on a one-page layout with the Rainbow Crush YouTube challenge, and for the month of May 2026 the color is yellow. Now the hop is sponsored or put on by the Paper Snob, which is a Facebook group. All this information will be in the details, the detail box. But what the idea is to pick a color every month, and then we have to use at least 75% of our layout that particular color. I'm also following a sketch by a scrapbooking website called Scrapping the Day Away and or Scrapbooking with Anne Marie. I'll have links to everything in the information box, don't worry. But the sketch calls for 4 different photos. I had 3, so I did change it a little bit, but I'll talk about that as we're going along. So I have this paper, it's a solid yellow that I got from my stash. Now, even though I had it in my pattern paper stash, it's thick, so I thought I'm going to use that as the base, and that's about as yellow as you can get, folks. And I just grabbed a bunch of collections. So this yellow with the gray, and also the one that I showed a little while ago with a bunch of words on it, that is from Authentique. What a beautiful collection, and it's so thick and it feels so nice. So on this sketch there's 2 long panels of paper, whether it's pattern paper or regular, and they're kind of crisscrossing over there on that right side. I decided to use this really pretty floral paper. Now it has a little bit more of an orange tinge, but I still like it because it does definitely have yellow in it, because again, it doesn't need to be monochromatic where everything's yellow, but it's still very yellow. I mean, you can tell already that's the main color. So I'm going to use 2 vertical photos here instead of 3 portrait ones, which was what the sketch showed. So that was the biggest change, really. On those strips of cardstock, I wasn't really sure how long to make them, so I kept them 12 inches, and I wasn't sure how thick to do it. So originally I wanted to do the flower just a little bit more than 4 inches, so I did them at 4 1/4, and then I thought it's way too thin, so I cut this 5 by 12 one, and guess what, folks, I ended up trimming about a 1/2 inch off of it, but you'll see me do that later. I think the thing that's really important is just kind of getting started. I love working with sketches because it gives you a starting point. I believe one of the hardest things about being a scrapbooker is kind of starting. So if you're not even sure where to start, it does take you a little bit longer. Again, having a sketch and a starting point, at least you get that first step out of the way. Now, I grabbed a bunch of yellow scraps from my scrap pile, and they're just yellow cardstock and lots of different shades. And I just thought I was going to mat this one photo. This is going to be on the right side, and I wanted to mat it just as much as possible, kind of wonky, I mean straight-ish, but not, if that makes sense. So I didn't want just like centered in the middle. Like the first one I definitely did it that way, but like this one I'm following whatever the paper is telling me what to do. So again, it's not the full mat, it's kind of off to the right, or the left, I'm sorry, and then this one's a little bit lower to the right. So I'm just really kind of playing around with it, and I'm just putting some adhesive here and there, not totally filling it up because again, I don't know how much of that paper is actually covering the photo or the other mats. That seemed like about a lot of words put together, but maybe didn't make any sense. So I apologize. But if you're watching, you know exactly what I'm doing. And I'm just putting some adhesive down, like I said, and just kind of trying to center it. I don't want it too wonky. I don't want it to be crazy, but I also want it to just look like it was like a happy accident. So again, I put all those together. I'm going to put that photo over on the right side. I used my Cricut for the title and the embellishments, and I basically did the print then cut, which I love doing with scrapbooking because especially when they're tiny like this, I'm not cutting all these little guys out, and I really liked these images. I got those from Printable Cuttable Creatables. They have the cutest SVGs, and so I downloaded those, or uploaded, whichever you want to call it, into my Cricut Design Space, and then I made my title all together. That Summer Treat is just one of the Design Space titles, and put offsets around them before I flattened them and printed them out. Easy peasy scrapbook embellishments. I'm telling you, if you have a Cricut and you're a scrapbooker and you're not using it for scrapbooking, you need to. You're missing an opportunity. So this is where I decide, okay, I knew I wasn't going to use 12-inch pieces of paper, so I just kind of used my eyes and my thumb and said, okay, you're cutting here. So I did that. You did see me cut out 3 circles because that, again, is part of the sketch, and I just used my circle cutter from Creative Memories, which was one of the first tools I bought when I started scrapbooking. And I was going to do them 3 different sizes, and then I thought, why am I making things hard? I'm just going to cut them the same size and make it work. So I tucked a lot in, and some of them you could barely even see because, again, everything color coordinates, so it's not overwhelming, but it's still just enough to see and accent the pages. Again, I am following the sketch, so I have, one in that kind of middle, middle, and then one over there on the left, and then the other one that's going to be underneath that larger photo. And I'm just putting some adhesive, and I'm going to lay them out. Still just kind of playing with it and figuring out what I'm going to do. But it's a pretty simple layout, folks, and I know you can tell by looking at this. And I did have to trim the pictures down a little bit because there's 4 by 6, so 6 plus 6 stacked together is 12 inches, and you just saw me chop off some of that 12-inch strip, so I had to cut those just a little bit, which was fine because I just cut a little airspace above her little ponytail. We made, or I should say the girls made, ice cream, everybody's favorite treat when you get to do those little popsicles in your freezer. I remember doing that when I was a girl, so it's really fun to do that with the girls, my granddaughters. And then, of course, they were enjoying them, and, the baby has it just dripping all over her, which is adorable in itself, right? So I'm tucking in the circles where I thought they would be. I probably should have did them first before I started putting the pictures and stuff down, but you know how that goes. Sometimes you just forget about stuff. And I forgot to mention earlier, I did have another layer of yellow, and I did peel it off because it was just too much. It was too thick, and it was going to crowd over that strip of photos. So you probably noticed that. I'm just cutting off this excess of the circle over there on the left, which I adore that one of those circles was going over. I think it just adds more kind of whimsy and more interest to the page instead of 3 full circles on the page. I also did those hearts in matching colors. So I was able to do some heart clusters on all 3 areas. Look, there's not a lot going on here, like I said, folks. So I am normally okay with that. I love scrapbooking where I'm really focusing on the photos. I'm not a big mixed media, got to throw all the things at it type of person. But every once in a while, and I'm saying that because it does happen with this layout, I look at it and go, yeah, I might need to add a little bit more. So don't worry, folks. It's going to come up in a minute, and I swear it's such a small thing, but it makes such a huge difference, and I'm so glad I did it. So I have been on this like mini vacation and haven't really been in my scrapbooking room in over a week because I've just been exhausted and just trying to catch up on things. So earlier today, I just kind of did a whole bunch of stuff that I was working on, and a lot of it included my Cricut and cutting things out. So I cut out a bunch of squares. And don't worry, if you follow me, you'll see me using them soon. And so I was making more embellishments basically for scrapbooking. And so I had this like a stencil, really. It's all from cardstock. But I've done that a lot where I'll use the remaining pieces of a cut and use them as stencils on different projects. Usually it's in my junk journal or when I'm kind of messing around more with like a mixed media look, not so much on my scrapbooking. I'm kind of boring, to be honest with you. I don't know why I'm whispering it because, just don't tell anybody. But you're going to see me pulling out and use it as a stencil here. And I'm telling you, like I said, it makes such a huge difference. It's so crazy. I did decide to put some enamel dots. Of course, I'm using yellow because, again, this page is definitely screams yellow, which I'm really happy about. But I adore those pops of that bluish aqua teal. I don't even know what you'd call it. One of my granddaughters is wearing like a mint green jumper, and I probably should have changed it to match that, but I love it. I think it's just one more color to add, and it follows along with the theme, so it's not too out there. So anyhow, I hope you agree with that. So here I am pulling out some inks and my little paddle brush, and then this is the stencil that I'm talking about, or I'm making it a stencil, and I am just going to put some ink there. Look at, I'm telling you, it's such a big difference. It's so crazy, but that's my little mixed media. I'm all proud of myself. And I did that there in the right hand upper corner, and then the left hand lower corner. But basically that's it. Now, as far as the hop, so there are hoppers, or there are scrapbookers that are also putting videos out. Please check the playlist that's in the information box. Leave comments. People do amazing work. I am always inspired by what these people create every month. So we crushing through the rainbow, or we're crushing the rainbow every month. If this is something that you'd like to join, there is also a link on how to get to this Facebook group, and anybody can join. Look at, isn't that cool? Yay! Sorry, I'm all over the place. But this is it, folks. I hope you like this video. And if you do, give me a thumbs up. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hop around, leave comments, join us, because it's a lot of fun. This is also an Instagram hop. I don't put all the Instagram information in the detail box, but I do in my blog. So there is a link to my blog. If you want the Instagram information, hop on over there and you can see the list of Instagrammers. All right. Thank you so much for watching. See you next month. Bye.